All right, so we're going to look today at Unit 5 notes. This is the first introduction to notes. So what does the United States look like after World War II? I'm going to fix that. The big issues, there's a couple of issues that are going on. Actually, big three things in which when we look at the United States post-World War II, that the United States is going to look very differently as it did pre-World War II. So before we get into that, though, I want to make sure that you're going to have to be able to identify each one of these presidents. You ask yourself, can you put the following list of presidents in the correct order? You're going to have to be able to do that. So I just wanted to kind of go over these with you real quick. Of the list up here, and this is, and some include before World War II. The first president you need to identify is Hoover, President Herbert Hoover. He was president during the Great Depression. Memory clue, connection clue, Hoovervilles, okay? So that is how we get to identify our first president that we need to identify, all right? So Coach Coffee, how am I going to be able to remember each one of these presidents in the correct order? Well, let's just kind of remember history a little bit. Who promised everybody a New Deal to get out of the Great Depression? It was, of course, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Well, when Roosevelt died, he was president during World War II. Who took over? Well, who was the president to drop the atomic bomb? We already know that was Truman. So we already kind of identify the first three. So those are easy. Hoover, Hoovervilles, FDR, the New Deal, Truman drops the atomic bomb. All those follow each other. Now, what happens after World War II, we know a little bit. And so Truman's going to be president, and then he's going to win his next election, but then he's going to win. And then, of course, Eisenhower will be the next president. Now, Eisenhower, this is where I'm going to start giving you some memory clues. Eisenhower was the Supreme Allied Commander of troops during World War II. He was a 5-star general. He was as high as you can get, and people love that fact. So Eisenhower became president. And he'll be easy to remember when we start to begin to pick up on a number of terms that deal with kind of the post-World War II world. Following Eisenhower is actually going to be Kennedy. John F. Kennedy is going to be president. And we're going to give you some tools to remember him as well. Followed by Kennedy, he, of course, will be assassinated. He will be assassinated by John Wilkes, I can't remember his name. But anyway, his vice president will be Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson will then be replaced by Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon then will be followed by Gerald Ford. Ford, then Carter, Jimmy Carter, the president from Georgia. Ronald Reagan. Reagan will be followed by his actually vice president, which will be George H.W. Bush. Then we'll see Bill Clinton, and then George W. Bush, and then, of course, President Barack Obama. You will have to identify and know the correct order of these presidents. Now, understanding post-World War II is that we have three big ideas that we have to be able to kind of, as the Cold War is going on, so is civil rights and equal rights. As civil rights and equal rights is going on, so is changing technology. So, excuse me. So after World War II, and we're going to kind of look at each one of these individually. Your first assignment kind of just goes through and gives you brief summaries over each president. Well, the next ones are, our next assignments are going to be specifically designated on a theme, meaning an idea. So the Cold War, civil rights and equality, and changing technology. Well, the Cold War, okay, what was the Cold War, Coach Coffee? Well, pretty much it was a conflict. It's called cold because that means it never got hot, so there was no direct shooting or killing or anything of that sort, between the United States and the Soviet Union. Well, right here it looks like they're pals. Cold War, they're not. It's like a tricky friendship. So it was pretty much a rivalry after World War II between the Soviet Union and its satellite countries and the democratic countries of the Western world under the leadership of the United States. Here we go. The idea of the Cold War, communism containment, 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 Cold War, communism containment. The idea is that the United States was scared, that the U.S. was worried that the Soviet Union was going to spread communism across the world, which was completely against our democratic values. So what did we want to do to it? We wanted to put it into a container, contain it to keep it from going all over the place. See that? Put a cap over it, put a top over it. Now it can't spread, it can't go anywhere. That was the idea that was, of course, expressed. Now, civil rights. This, of course, is the fight for equality. And its base ideas, we need to understand, is the civil rights movement was a movement toward equal rights and integration, and it was focused on ending discrimination and segregation, aka Jim Crow. During World War II, while we had segregated units before they got into battle, they become integrated. They fought together. They fought beside each other, and there was a group there that had come together because of that. And so, and remember, we're fighting the Germans. These Germans believe in this superior ideology that we're fighting to overthrow, and we have segregation going on back home. So World War II is going to fuel this, just like it's going to kind of be fueled the Cold War. Now, and there'll be many different ways in which civil rights will be fought. We talked about the NAACP and how they're going to use court systems, but we're going to see Dr. Martin Luther King and, of course, that nonviolent form of protest be very successful in achieving, of course, equality and civil rights. Now, finally, it's important to understand that it may be technology, but it's going to have a major impact on the world. Following World War II, there's going to be a technological boom that changed the everyday life of individuals. We're going to have things in 54 that had never been around before, like the air conditioning. Oh, Coach Coffee, what does that have to do with anything? Well, because the air conditioning was invented, people up north, businesses said, wow, we can build skyscrapers in the South and we can cool them. We can actually have a business in the South without burning up. So it's truly, you're thinking, oh, what is that? The air conditioner had a massive cultural movement of people into the South that had never happened before. We're going to see new forms of computer technology, which is going to develop and still going on today. So this is going to change the way we do everything in society. So it's very important on this. This is kind of just an introduction into the unit. If you have any questions, please, as always, let me know. And always remember to smile, because it's contagious.